Hello everyone, and welcome to Katharine's Creatures, episode 18. This is a series where we get to discuss mythological creatures, beast being and the like, and today we're actually going Greek. But before I get into that, I always like to say I am not a linguist, so if I mispronounce anything, I do apologize in advance. That is not my intent to give insult. I am doing my best. Now, going to the Grecian mythology, I'm actually going to be talking about Scylla, as in Scylla and Charybdis today, but I'm going to kind of focus on her for the moment. Now, you may recognize the name. She's a relatively popular monster from Grecian lore and appears in a lot of the big ancient epic poems and stories of the time. Now, Scylla was one of a pair of monsters that was positioned between either side of a narrow channel of water, and both monstrosities would try to terrorize, hunt, and kill any sailors that came through, the counterpart being Charybdis, which I'll talk about in a future episode. But by the time the Romans came along and started repurposing ancient Greek lore, Virgil named the actual location and claimed that she lived on the Strait of Messina. So that kind of gives a little bit of reference back to where they potentially hunted and haunted sailors of the date. Now, Scylla origin varies. Her parentage has changed a lot depending again on the person telling the tale. Sometimes she's a deity, a child of a deity, other times not necessarily as much, but with that said, she's usually always depicted as a nymph, typically a naiad, which is a water-based nymph. There should be no shock there because we are dealing with a creature who hunts near the water. And the stories of what happened to her also vary depending on the myth. There's one where she was claimed by the god Poseidon, but an angered, interested lover was furious, wanted to be with her, and because he couldn't, especially go against a god, he ended up poisoning the the spring where Scylla used to bathe, and in doing so transformed her into the hideous beast where she raged henceforth. Now, other stories about her origin and transformation into this monster, one of the other big ones was she was actually in love and with a man called Glaucius. See, again, pronunciation, Glaucius. But the problem was she wasn't the only one in love with him. The Circe, one of the biggest sorceresses of Grecian myth, was also interested in the same man. And it was Circe, through her anger and jealousy, that transformed Scylla into the monster she is known to be. Now, it is also in that tale where we are kind of informed some characteristics of Scylla's new monstrous body. In that one, she's described as having 4 eyes, 6 snake-like necks with grisly heads perched atop, each head bearing 3 rows of a shark's teeth, so the razor-sharp teeth. Her body contains 12 tentacle-like legs, a cat's tail, 6 dog heads are enwrapped around her waist and sprouting from that area. So a very horrific looking creature. And again, it's a shame, it's a shame in the sense of Grecian myth that this is a story, and not the only one, where a woman who becomes a victim is transformed into a monster, demonized, and later slain by the heroes because she is now becomes a villain, with nothing that she didn't do wrong, essentially, outside of fell in love or was loved by the wrong person. Anywho, what happened to Scylla? One story, some of the big stories, obviously, she comes against and in contact with Odysseus. I'm trying to remember if she dealt with Aeneas, since Virgil wrote about her. I would say most likely, but I would have to verify that. But she ended up being killed by Hercules during his travels in one of the stories. So interesting creature, well known throughout mythology. Her counterpoint is also well known, the Charybdis, and we will talk about him next week. If you have any questions for me about this or anything else pertaining to mythology or my books, put your questions in the comments below or message me on social media. Thank you.